Picture this. You're at a dinner party, and someone starts talking about their weekend shopping trip. Your mind immediately drifts to economic patterns, consumer psychology, or the environmental impact of fast fashion. Meanwhile, everyone else is genuinely engaged in discussing which store had the best deals. You smile and nod, but inside, you're dying from intellectual starvation. If this sounds familiar, you might be carrying a burden that society refuses to acknowledge: the weight of high intelligence. We live in a world that celebrates being smart, but nobody talks about the hidden costs that come with it: the isolation, the exhaustion, the constant pressure to perform at levels that drain your soul. Intelligence isn't just about scoring high on tests or solving complex equations. It's about seeing connections others miss, thinking in layers that most people can't access, and processing information at speeds that leave others in the dust. But with this gift comes struggles that brilliant minds face every single day. Let's explore the 8 hidden burdens that come with high intelligence, struggles that most people never see or understand. Struggle number 1: conversations feel like intellectual prison. Every small talk interaction becomes a form of mental torture. While others can spend hours discussing weekend plans or celebrity gossip, your brain craves substance. You want to explore ideas that matter, dissect concepts that challenge assumptions, engage with thoughts that push boundaries. But here's the cruel irony: most people find deep conversation exhausting or intimidating. They want to relax, not analyze the philosophical implications of their morning coffee routine. So you learn to code switch, dumbing down your natural thought processes to fit into social situations that feel intellectually barren. You become a master of pretending that trivial topics fascinate you. You develop an arsenal of generic responses while your mind screams for stimulation that never comes. It's like being a racing car, forced to drive in a school zone, technically functional, but nowhere near your natural capacity. Struggle number 2: every word you speak is carefully calculated. When you do speak, you've already run multiple scenarios in your head. You've considered how your words might be misinterpreted, whether your point is too complex, if your reference is too obscure. You become hyper-aware of the gap between your thought process and others' comprehension levels. This mental rehearsal creates painful delays in conversation. While others respond instantly and naturally, you're still processing, refining, simplifying. People start to see you as aloof, overly serious, or disconnected. They don't realize you're trying to translate your thoughts into a language they can understand without making them feel inadequate. The translation process is exhausting. Imagine having to explain quantum physics using only words a 5-year-old would know every single time you want to share an idea. Eventually, you stop sharing altogether. It's easier to stay silent than to constantly downshift your intellectual engine. Struggle number 3: social situations become emotional minefields. Research consistently shows that high IQ often correlates with challenges in emotional navigation. It's not that brilliant people lack emotions, it's that their emotional processing is as complex as their intellectual processing. They feel things deeply but struggle to express those feelings in ways others can relate to. You might perfectly understand the psychological dynamics at play in a social situation, but have no idea how to navigate them gracefully. You can analyze why someone is upset, but can't figure out how to comfort them effectively. You recognize manipulation tactics instantly, but struggle to respond to them diplomatically. Your analytical mind treats emotions like puzzles to be solved rather than experiences to be felt. This creates a disconnect between your internal emotional world and your external social performance, leaving you feeling like an actor who's forgotten their lines. Struggle number 4: genuine friendships feel nearly impossible. Making authentic connections becomes a nearly impossible challenge. People either feel intimidated by your intelligence or assume you think you're better than them. Some approach you only when they need help with problems, treating you like a human search engine rather than a potential friend. Others avoid you entirely, worried they'll say something that reveals their intellectual limitations. The few people who do try to befriend you often do so for the wrong reasons. They want to associate with your intelligence for social status, or they enjoy feeling smarter by comparison when you struggle with simple social tasks. Authentic connections, relationships where you can be fully yourself without judgment, become incredibly rare. You find yourself perpetually lonely in crowds, surrounded by people but unable to truly connect with anyone who understands your mental frequency. Struggle number 5. Isolation becomes your default state. Since meaningful social interaction is difficult, you retreat into solitary intellectual pursuits. You throw yourself into work, research, creative projects, anything that provides the mental stimulation you crave. But this only widens the gap between you and the social world, making future interactions even more challenging. The isolation isn't just social, it's existential. You start to feel like you're living in a different reality from everyone else. Conversations that energize others drain you. Entertainment that delights the masses bores you to tears. Problems that seem complex to others appear obviously simple, while issues you find fascinating leave others completely disengaged. This creates a feedback loop where isolation breeds more isolation. The less you interact socially, the more awkward social interactions become, which drives you further into solitude. You become trapped in a cycle of intellectual stimulation and social starvation. Struggle number 6. Decision making becomes paralyzingly complex. Your analytical mind, which is your greatest strength, becomes your worst enemy when making decisions. Simple choices spiral into elaborate cost-benefit analyses. Choosing a restaurant becomes a research project involving reviews, nutritional information, ethical sourcing practices, and economic implications. You see every angle, every possibility, every potential outcome. What should be straightforward choices become paralyzingly complex because your brain won't stop processing additional variables. You can spend hours deciding whether to send a text message, analyzing tone, timing, potential interpretations, and long-term relationship implications. This analysis paralysis extends beyond daily decisions into major life choices. Career paths that seem obvious to others become labyrinthine puzzles as you consider not just immediate benefits, but long-term trajectories, societal impact, and opportunity costs. You can research options so thoroughly that you miss deadlines while still gathering information. Struggle number 7. Your mind demands constant intellectual feeding. Your brain constantly hungers for intellectual stimulation, making routine tasks feel like mental starvation. Grocery shopping, commuting, administrative tasks, these necessary life activities become torturous because they don't engage your cognitive capabilities. You find yourself unconsciously creating mental challenges during boring activities just to stay sane. You calculate tips using complex mathematical formulas, analyze architectural patterns while walking, or construct elaborate theories about strangers' life stories. Your mind refuses to idle. It must always be working on something intellectually engaging. This constant need for stimulation creates a peculiar form of restlessness. You're simultaneously bored and overstimulated, craving challenge while being exhausted by the mental effort required to find it in mundane situations. Simple relaxation becomes nearly impossible because your brain interprets downtime as wasted potential. Struggle number 8. The weight of perpetual expectations. Perhaps most crushing of all is the constant weight of expectations. Society, family, friends, even strangers assume that your intelligence guarantees success, happiness, and easy solutions to life's problems. They expect you to have all the answers, make perfect decisions, and achieve extraordinary things. "You're so smart, you'll figure it out," becomes a phrase that haunts you. People assume your intelligence makes everything easier, not realizing it often makes things more difficult. They don't see the paralysis, the overthinking, the social struggles, the existential loneliness that comes with your gift. The pressure to constantly prove your intelligence becomes overwhelming. Every test, every project, every conversation becomes a performance where you must demonstrate your worth. Failure isn't just disappointing. It's identity threatening. If you're not succeeding brilliantly, then what are you? This pressure breeds perfectionist tendencies that can be psychologically destructive. You set impossibly high standards because anything less feels like a betrayal of your potential. You procrastinate on projects because you'd rather not complete them than complete them imperfectly. The hidden truth about intelligence. Here's what you need to understand. Your struggles don't diminish your intelligence. They're evidence of it. The fact that you crave deeper conversations proves your mind's sophistication. Your analysis paralysis demonstrates your ability to see complexities others miss. Your social awkwardness often stems from trying to be considerate of others' limitations. Your intelligence isn't a burden to be hidden or a performance to be maintained. It's a part of who you are that deserves acceptance, nurturing, and authentic expression. The goal isn't to become less intelligent, it's to find environments and relationships where your intelligence can flourish without apology. The irony is that your intelligence, which should be liberating, often becomes a prison. You're trapped by your own capabilities, isolated by your gift, exhausted by constantly operating in environments that don't match your natural frequency. But the world needs minds like yours, complex, analytical, depth-seeking brains that can tackle challenges others can't even see. Your struggles are real, your challenges are valid, and your experience matters. You're not broken, you're just operating at a frequency that requires the right tuning to find harmony. The question isn't how to fix your intelligence, it's how to honor it while building a life that sustains both your intellectual needs and your human heart. Which of these 8 struggles do you feel the most? And how do you deal with it?